We had, hey, we're finally recording our podcast. Can I call you later? Okay. Why don't you come over here and you can switch for us? You want to? I'll pay you $100 an hour to switch.
All right, welcome back to part 2 of Listen LowCo. This is Patrick Malone, and we just heard a little bit about my story, and now we're going to learn more about Matt here and his story and 221B Studios. So, Matt, why don't you tell me? Yeah, I don't know your full story, actually. So, you went more traditional than I did. You went to college, right?
More traditional. I went to college at Asbury, now university. Actually studied video production.
Okay.
Media communications, actually.
So you're actually doing what you went to school for.
I believe it or not, I still am. I don't know how I made that happen.
Not many people could say that.
No. So, yeah, went to school and did that. And I really have worked pretty much my whole professional career in some form of media, marketing, advertising, production world. Everything from an agency in Atlanta to a couple of stints at some Olympic Games in broadcast, which is really cool. Worked for a nonprofit, the Christian and Missionary Alliance out in Colorado Springs when they were headquartered there. Met my wife.
Very nice. So you've been kind of all over it. What brought you here to Lowcountry? So, like I said, I've been in production most of my life, right? And I've been at the CMA at that time for, I think, 6 years. Okay.
I think it was. And they do great work. I mean, they're a church planning organization. It's a great organization. We still support them from time to time. I mean, they're awesome. But I think maybe like all creatives kind of get to that point where they're like, I feel like I've been telling the same story. And I felt bad saying that, right? Because it's like, it's a mission
planning
story.
Churches.
It's church planning. Why am I? But after 6 years, I just kind of got to this point where I was like, I need something different.
Yeah.
And of course we were in Colorado Springs at the time, and most of our family's back here. My mother-in-law and her late husband lived here on Hilton Head. My parents and siblings were mostly in Tennessee. Okay. So, I would love to, I wanted to get back to where we could actually drive to relatives' houses instead of having to fly. I hate flying, not because I don't like the flight. I just hate the hassle and the logistics.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying.
So definitely a God thing. We've been just kind of looking and praying for a long time. And Lely's mom, actually, my mother-in-law, had a connection to someone at Evacor Healthcare when they were here, which was a medical benefits management company. In fact, you mentioned you worked for United.
Yeah. Actually, I met, I think he worked for Evacor, but he used to work for United Healthcare and was a project manager. So
I wonder if I knew the name. Wow.
I don't know. Maybe. Probably shouldn't drop names on here, but.
No, probably not.
Is Evacor, are they still around? Like, what happened?
Well, okay, that's a whole other rabbit trail I could go.
Does that have any impact on?
At the time, well, yeah, it does. Actually, it does. So when I moved out here, actually, they were called CareCore National. They were medical benefits management. So they were the company that, if you needed to get an MRI and you had to get permission from your health insurance, whether or not they would actually pay for it.
Oh, those people. Everyone loves those people.
CareCore were the people that reviewed, right. They reviewed it for medical necessity, right? So over the course of the 6 or 7 years there's a theme here, like 6 or 7 years seems to be like
6,
7. It happens all the time. My kid always makes fun of me, but everything is in like 6 or 7 year time frames. Maybe it was 5 years with them. No, I think it was 6 or 7 years I was with what started out as CareCore. But through that time, we went through 1, 2, 3, 4 mergers, acquisitions.
Yeah.
Like,
similar to my with United Healthcare, merger after merger.
It was like private equity, and then it was merging with our biggest competitor, and then it was purchased by Express Scripts, and then Express Scripts was purchased by Cigna Healthcare.
Okay.
So it was like every 18 to 24 months, we were going through some sort of a hush-hush meetings, and being in marketing and communications, like it was kind of fun because I got to kind of know a little bit about what's going on, maybe more than a lot of people. And so, there were rebrands we would help with, and
during any of those restructures and mergers, were there like rumors or anything threats of like
There were
layoffs, or did you
layoffs.
feel
Oh,
like
yeah.
my job
There
may
were,
be
um,
like in jeopardy, or
you
did your
know,
roles change at all?
roles did change slightly. Actually, with funny thing. So again, I kind of jumped ahead. So backing up to when I was at the Christian Missionary Alliance and I was ready to move on, I was actually kind of getting a little bit burned out on video. I think that was
Okay.
part of it. It wasn't just like, oh, I've been telling the same story. It was just like I'm kind of getting tired of the production world for a little bit. I've been doing it for like 10 years at that point, and I was like, I don't even know if I want to do video anymore. And I kind of been dabbling in some project management stuff there and maybe a little bit of like corporate, I wouldn't say not restructuring, but just kind of efficiency stuff. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, this is kind of fun getting into this little bit more left brain side of things. And so that's actually when I was hired by CareCore. I was hired to do like project management for special IT projects,
Okay.
which was kind of a crazy new thing for me. And I got in there, worked for my boss for about 2 or 3 months, and he kind of came to me and he said, look,
We need you to be creative again.
no, he did. He said, look, you're a creative and you need to be doing that. You need to be doing the creative work. And he said, you kind of have two options here. He said, we can keep kind of muscling through this and helping you be a better project manager and dealing with these teams and people and whatever else, or you can join the marketing team, which was just starting up at
Okay.
CareCore at the time, separate from sales. And I kind of thought about it for a few days, and I said, I think I want to go back to the creative stuff. I've enjoyed doing that. I've did a little bit of that when I was there in that role, and I said, I kind of want to do that. And he goes, good, that was your only choice.
Otherwise, what? You're fired?
Right, yeah. No, basically, he's like, yeah, if you don't want to do that, then you're gone. So, like, he kind of gave me the option. But
Right.
there was
That's
only
kinda
one
weird,
path I
that-
could actually pick.
Which
So-
again, like when we talked about, like sometimes that job security is a
It's
false
not
sense of
there.
security.
It's not there. I mean, I do feel like CareCore was a good company to work for, and I did make it through all the layoffs that happened. And there weren't very many. They were actually pretty good mergers. They
Yeah.
were, and it was a good thing. It was a neat time in the company to see it grow and become, I think, a friendlier place and a better place for employees and everything else.
Yeah.
So that was cool. But eventually we got to the point where we were working for Cigna, and we'd had some changes in our team, and there were still integrations happening with the larger Cigna team. And I actually started kind of talking with HR, kind of figuring, okay, what do I want to do next? Because I'm not sure if I'm in, like, I kind of want to change this right. At the time, I'd been managing an in-house creative team, still doing some video work, still helping with sales support stuff. So I had management, I had some creative, and I was talking with them, and they kind of came up with this new role for me and said, hey, this, you can do this, or if you want, we can offer you a severance package. So basically, like,
It's almost like the same
was-
thing.
yeah, but it was different though, because I kind of,
They gave you a way out.
they gave me a way out. I initiated this one. Right?
Okay.
It wasn't like someone came to me and said, hey,
You take this job.
take this job or
right.
leave. It was like, I kind of want something different. And they were like, okay, well, here's what we can offer you.
If not,
If not, then here's the exit.
I mean, that's generous to offer a severance package
Yeah,
in that
yeah.
instance.
It
So how long
was.
was that severance?
So I think, I don't hope I'm not violating my NDA with this one.
Is that not
I don't know.
over at this point?
There were some words like
you don't have to do exact amounts.
perpetuity. I don't know. Anyways, I think I had like,
More than 6 weeks?
I had been kind of, honestly, I'd been praying and talking to my wife. Said, look, if we get 6 months, that's my exit. That's my
Okay.
sign. I think I got, if you counted the extra vacation time I had banked that I hadn't used, I think it was somewhere between, it was like 5 to 5.5 months.
It was in the ballpark.
It was close,
close
enough, and I was like, all right, I'll take it. I did. I took it.
You're like, no, Lord, I need a better sign than
Right.
this.
It's got to be 6. It's got to be those 180 days. So I took it, and I thought, oh, this is good. I've got like, almost 6 months to get something off
Yeah.
the ground. We had Cobra. It was great. And my boss actually was like, I remember her saying on the phone, she's like, I'm actually really sad. I thought you were going to take the new role.
Oh,
And I
sorry.
left. And it was funny. I didn't jump right into the video production thing.
What were you doing?
So I'd been in big healthcare for a long time, and I decided I want to help the little guy out.
Okay.
And so I had this whole idea where I'm going to go help out this thing called direct primary care. If you haven't heard of it, it's this idea that primary care physicians that say, I'm not going to take Medicare, I'm not going to take insurance. It's all cash based. It's usually subscription.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it's a very cool thing. There are a couple in the area.
I don't know. I have a doctor that's, I don't know. There's also that concierge
There's
thing, but I
concierge.
think
it's different.
I think mine's considered direct. Like I pay monthly, but like they have limited patients, and it's good because
Yeah.
I can reach out to them whenever I need. So,
Right. No,
uh,
that's the advantage. It's like concierge in that you get more increased access
yeah.
to your doctor. But from what I understand, most concierge practices still take insurance. So you're kind of paying a fee on top to have that
Yeah, they do bill a
access.
lot through my insurance, but
Right.
I don't. I don't know. That's
DPC,
way above my pay
they
grade.
don't bill anything to insurance, period. They have no contracts, nothing with
Okay,
insurance or
it's all like
Medicare
you're
or the
basically
government.
like
Right. So
cash
you
pay.
have to pay cash.
Okay.
And like I said, usually it's a subscription. So you're paying monthly for the whatever their offers
And
are.
were you focused on those types of businesses locally, or were you just
They were
all
like,
over?
no, there were
Or
one or two locally. So I started trying to reach out. My first client, actually, I got one that she was opening a rheumatology practice that was direct pay in Knoxville, Tennessee. My family's from Knoxville.
okay,
So I made a connection there. I can't even remember how. I went to a couple of like sort of conference things, virtual conferences. This was right after COVID. So
okay,
I haven't given any dates on this. Like we
yeah.
moved here in 2014, worked for Revacor until, I think it was 2013, until like 2021. So partway through COVID. And then,
And what were you helping? Like, what were you offering? And when you said you want to help these smaller practices,
marketing stuff. So I was like,
okay,
oh, I know how to do websites in WordPress. I've been on a team that kind of did social media stuff. I've done some graphic design. Of course, I know video. So I'm like,
you could handle it
I
all.
was kind of a jack of all trades, but
Yeah.
not like master of none
Mhm.
except the video production stuff, because that's what I've done mostly. And I thought, oh, I'll come in and I'll help them kind of get their social media up. I'll help them build their website. I'll learn SEO. I don't think I learned those things quite as well as you learned
I mean,
your marketing
I had
stuff.
more years probably of doing it for my
Probably.
own e-com stuff. So
Yeah.
it just naturally evolved. But again, going back to jack of all trades, like you can't be everything to everyone. So I know my limits, and I'll let you continue your story. So
So I reached out. I got one client who actually is still paying me to host her website, which I think she's working on trying to find another person to redo it, which is totally fine. But I did that for about, oh gosh, it was probably 4 or 5 months. I'm getting close to the end of my severance.
what
At
year
this
was
point.
this
This was
again?
2021, 2022. So I left at the end
So
of 2021.
okay, towards the end of COVID, or right around COVID,
Right. Right about the time the vaccines were all rolling out.
Yeah,
Right there.
you're like, let me
A
piggyback
little
off of
later.
that.
So 2022 into the spring, I hadn't built any more clients up. And I was kind of like, I don't know if this is going to work. I've made some connections, but
I'm
people
sorry. How
didn't
many
seem to
months
be
was this
biting.
at this point? Since
It's like 4 or 5 months.
okay, so you're getting close to your
Getting close to the
6 months
end.
of
My
severance.
wife's starting to get a little bit like,
Yeah.
what are we going to do now?
All right.
We're not going to have, and thankfully we had some savings. So I was like, I know we're not going to like have the light shut off. Right. So, but obviously didn't want to dip into that as much as possible. So I started looking for a job again, kind of like you
Okay.
said.
Yeah.
I started hunting.
That's
And like you
usually
said,
that fear that
right.
creeps in.
Like I was applying for all sorts of stuff. I was contacting my old Evacor people, and a lot of them had left during the mergers and stuff, and the acquisitions gone to their own startups or their own companies. And I actually was really close on one or two jobs where like I was like almost there, and then they pulled funding for the position, or this happened, or whatever, and so I was like, what am I going to do?
How was that? How did that feel?
Oh, it was stressful. It's so frustrating because
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend of mine recently who actually, he's an entrepreneur, sold his business and basically retired for a couple of years, and now he's kind of trying to get back into the game again. And I was telling him, I was like, and he's looked for some jobs, he's doing some consulting, and I said, I've never had any luck with any resume I've just applied cold to
Just
a
like a
job
job,
opening.
right? Without like a warm connection type thing.
LinkedIn, or
Right.
yeah, there's no warm connection. I've had, I think, zero luck. Maybe half the time I get the rejection letter, the
Mhm.
other half I don't hear anything, and it never led to anything else. So I had these couple of leads, and one that was almost an offer, and everything just kept falling through. And I'm like, okay, God, what do I do here? Like this is not good. I don't want to do the DPC thing, and I'd kind of backed off, because even my one client that I had, the rheumatologist, I was trying to sell her on some more social media stuff or a video,
Some more services.
more services. She never bit.
Right.
And I think part of it was like, I think a lot of the DPC crowd is very much pull yourself up by your bootstraps, which I know is technically supposed to be impossible, but they
It's still saying.
right. They're leaving the system. They want to do
Yeah,
everything
yeah,
on their
yeah.
own. I think it was hard to try to break into that market, and I was still trying to get my story down and get my sales pitch down. And so I left that. I wasn't having any success with the job applications. And then out of the blue, my father-in-law, who's out in Seattle, had a connection to a medical research, or I can't remember, some health thing. And then there was a branch of that that needed to do some educational videos, sort of a whiteboard style thing. And he put me in touch with this contact, and they got in touch with me and said, look, we have the scripts. We just need someone to animate it and voice over it. And I said, I can do that.
Yeah.
Because that's what I've done, right? I love doing video. I love doing graphics and effects. I love doing shooting. I love and hate editing, but that's another story.
Oh, yeah.
But so I said, all right, I'll take it. I think it was like a $4,000 job or something like that. I mean, or maybe it's something like that. It wasn't like a huge job, but it was like, all right, this could like kind of help.
Yeah, springboard,
right? So I did that. It went well. They really liked it. And I thought, this is what I need to do. I need to quit this whole, like, I'm going to do this sort of general marketing thing. I need the DPC thing is there aren't enough clients out there.
It's very niche.
It's very niche. I need to just open it up to small businesses, medium businesses, and focus on video because that's what I know. That's what I love. I'm good at it. And so that's what I transitioned from.
And when did you actually come up with the name 221B?
Okay, so yeah.
Was that part of the original thing, or is that more when you decided to refocus on?
The original company was called Get DPC. Or no, DPC Solutions. Well, Primary Care Solutions. Yep. And I had a website, getdpc.com. I think it's gone now. So I actually I just changed the name with the state and went to 221B Studios. And the way I got to that was my last name is Holmes. And I'm a big fan of the Sherlock character. There's the hats here. Yeah. If you all can see, like,
there's the violin.
Sherlock's violin. There's books over here by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Some of them Sherlock Holmes, some of them not. The hats over there, the pipes up on behind the camera.
You should have the pipe.
I know, I should, right on the table. I don't know why I don't. I should have it like a little stand. But
so that was your rebrand.
That was my rebrand. And 221B, by the way, is 221B Baker Street was Sherlock Holmes' address.
Okay.
And I thought, it'd be kind of fun to do this name that's a little bit cryptic, but then when you explain it, people are like, oh.
Yeah, it makes sense. That's a good for branding. So around what year was
that? Was that? I think that was 22. That was 22.
So
somewhere in 2022.
Somewhat recent, last few years.
Yeah. Less than
I think we probably I think we both started probably around this similar time,
right?
Like going through a rebrand. At what point? I don't want to know if I'm jumping ahead or so. Like when you rebranded to 221B Studios, when do you like focus on video and join BNI and all that? Like, what was that transition like? Just switching from the direct primary care stuff.
I'm trying to remember the history. So I did start visiting BNI chapters. What else did I do at that point? I'm trying to remember what the next jobs were. I had some connections to some other friends in the area that were doing marketing type stuff.
Okay.
So,
and in the beginning, you were doing websites and other types of marketing,
I was still doing some websites.
I think when we first met, you were doing some websites.
Right.
I don't know if you were doing some marketing.
I've added a few, and I that is true. I did rebrand to 221B. I wanted to emphasize the video, but I did do some branding work. I did do some website work. That's right. I forgot that. Thank you for reminding me, because my old business card still said I think it said design and marketing.
Okay.
I totally forgot that I'd done that, because really that was right. The transition was not from necessarily marketing to video. It was from direct primary care to all businesses. And then
the web design marketing,
really,
and then it switched to video.
Kind of came later. So,
okay.
Hey, wait a second. This is actually going to be good for part of the show.
Pause.
No, we can keep going, actually. This is my wife, and I'm going to tell her I'm actually recording my story.
We're going to do it live.
She's wanting me to do that. Yeah, this is
why don't you put her on speakerphone so we can all hear?
No, you are, but you're on the podcast right now.
You're actually live.
You're live. You're on the podcast, so we're doing our story right now. I'm telling mine. I said, no, wait, Lely's calling. This is my wife, and I just wanted you to be on because you wanted me to do this for so long, and
we're doing it.
So, yeah, there you go. Say it again. All right. Can I call you back later? All right, love you. Bye.
She's just making sure you're getting your stuff.
You getting your work done?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's important, right? So have that support during the whole transition stuff.
She's been very supportive, but I think, and we can get to this at another point, but I think she tends to be a little bit more motivated for that business building than I do, but that's a whole other. Patrick knows. They were in here yesterday talking. They had
different personalities.
Edit, right? And I'm trying to get the
we talked about that in the just start the paralysis of analysis. And
Yeah,
I'm more of a
I
just
get
like
stuck in that.
go and figure it out as we go. So,
Yeah.
uh,
But yeah,
so you rebrand, you start doing marketing design, you
I did,
start checking
yeah.
out BNI chapters.
Right. I mean, so
At that point, your job and consistency is kind of
it's
just
starting to get
random.
better. I mean, I would say, and haven't done the accounting this year, but I think, we've grown every year, right?
Yeah.
We've kind of slowly built up. BNI was super helpful at the outset. We had a couple of clients in my chapter that hired me to do stuff. I had a good referral that was a couple of projects. I mentioned some other people that were in marketing that kind of handed me off to a client of theirs, and I did some video for them. I think one of the most interesting ones was someone hired me to live stream a funeral
Oh, that's right. I
in
remember this story.
2022, and I was like, I can do that. I was like,
So,
so like it was all sorts of really
part
weird,
of the story,
not
right?
weird. I mean, random.
Like,
It's kind of like,
and I've noticed this for myself, but for you, has the type of work that you take on now evolved or changed? Like when I first started, I mean, I would take any website, anything. I said I was driving cars. So like, as I've grown and brought on more business, I could be a little more selective. So like, has your market narrowed down to like what type of client you're looking for as you grew?
it has. I mean, I think some of it's driven by the industries that are here, right? And
Yeah.
and I mean, obviously, I'm going to do local work. Then, I mean, what's big, right? We have tourism. We have
Yeah.
real estate is huge.
A lot of funerals. Would you do that again?
Funerals. Well, I mean, it's a retirement community. And then just a lot of small businesses. So I think I'm really still in the process of trying to figure out who's my ideal client. Who do I want to go after? I'm still doing some healthcare stuff.
Yeah.
I do like doing the healthcare because I feel like I kind of know the space. I come from a medical family. I've got, experience on the sort of business side of healthcare. So I do like getting healthcare clients. I like the stories and telling those stories. Those are great. But right now I'm actually in the process of working with the Don Ryan Center here in Bluffton to go through kind of their startup, I guess, 4
Like
years.
a coaching
4 years
type
still a
thing?
startup thing. Yeah, like coaching.
Yeah. And
mentor-
your startup until you go public.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Done that
so-
yet. You want to invest?
Is that like your 10-year plan?
Yeah, that's right. So, that's part of the process we're going through right now. Who is our ideal customer? What is it we're trying to sell? And I feel like we're niching down more and more. I feel like our biggest clients right now are nonprofit, healthcare, and real estate.
Nonprofit's a good one. And there's a lot of them down here.
Yeah, yeah. So, that's been good. We're doing, a lot of the stuff we do now, it's interviews and testimonials. And a lot of that's out in the field because up until last summer, everything was out in the field. I would go to someone's place of work or their job site and I would film, what they needed. Some of it was scripted. We did some ads where we actually, created scripts and had people read them and
You've done some like TV
planned
commercials
shoots.
and
We've done
stuff too, right?
TV commercial, yep, for an HVAC company in town. That was a lot of fun. We did one actually just last fall. I did one for a pharmacy benefit manager out in Indiana, small one.
Yeah, and you said if depending on the project, you can like
Yeah, we
actually
travel.
bring in like
Oh, yeah.
actors and that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
stuff.
It's,
And
no,
so
it's a
you could
good
do
point.
fairly like larger production type stuff.
Right, we
Yeah.
can. So we can scale, right? I mean, it's just me that works. That's the
You're the main
single
guy.
owner
Yes,
LLC. And so I'd like to tell people we can do, we can do everything from small projects where it's a single camera and me asking questions, and it's fairly simple edits to, we scripted this big thing and we hired actors and we brought in a crew and we shot this whole thing and got it out on broadcast, so we can kind of do the gamut,
Right.
from, budget wise and complexity wise and everything's quality, but
Yeah.
the more people you have, the more you can.
Which kind of talks about, I mean, I kind of wanted to get into this studio because the quality is important, right? So how did that evolve?
Yeah.
How did you're doing a lot of stuff in the field, and then did you see a need for like a studio like this? Like, what was your thought behind that? I know, is it just to help make video more affordable for
That's part
business
of it.
owners?
That's part of it. So yeah, back, like we talked about earlier, we shared an office space. Was that last episode or this? I can't remember. But anyways,
We mentioned it, the part one, I think. Yeah, we were over by the post office in a
Right.
room that was probably half the size of this
something
one.
like that.
And then we
There
had
was
a
2 rooms about this size.
yeah, but we had a
together
closet that we
combined.
tried to do a
Right.
studio. It just didn't work out. But you had that idea.
Right. I've been thinking for a while, like I it's a lot of work to pack up gear all the time
Yeah.
and drive it to a site and set it up, tear it down, pack, and you're constantly moving. And there's some fun to that. It's neat to get into a new space and be like, okay, how do we deal with the lighting in this to make it look really good?
I'm assuming that gets expensive and takes a lot of time.
It does. It does. I mean,
Like travel, setting up, breaking down, all the
especially hiring
equipment,
crew,
multiple people.
It gets expensive.
Right.
And that's part of why video costs what it does. And there's, of course, a lot of editing on the back
Yeah, all the
end, too,
post-editing.
right? 'Cause you're shooting for a 3-minute video, you may have like 2 or 3 hours
Yeah.
for a simple commercial or simple testimonial that you're trying to weed through and hundreds of clips potentially that you're just trying to piece together. And so I'd always thought it'd be great if I could walk into a space, flip a switch, and then hit record. And
that's
make
what you've
content.
built here.
And that's what we built. We kind of, like you said, we kind
Yeah.
of tried that in that other place, and then I happened to be here with my wife.
And just
kind
for
of
those who
business
don't
plan.
know, when we say here, we're inside the Grind Sheridan
the
Park,
Grind,
right?
the Grind Studios or Grind Studios,
The
Grind
Grind
Roasters,
Yes.
in Sheridan Park in Bluffton. And we just happened to come in for some coffee one day to kind of have a little bit of a business strategy session. Talk about where we're going to go.
No, we weren't even looking. So we weren't even looking
weren't,
for new
no.
office space.
No, we just came in. I've been here. I like to come in here to work. And I just remember telling my wife, I was like, it'd be great to be able to have a studio in a coffee shop because you get a lot of foot traffic and people see it, business owners having meetings, and, there's a lot of energy here. And because our old office was great. We had great people, but it was quiet. It was out of the way. It was
dark and depressing, I would say.
No offense to the people we rented
the people
from.
were great.
No, they were.
I do. They were super nice, and
were
it
great.
was
Rowan
affordable
was
for
awesome.
what we needed at the time. But
Absolutely.
I mean, you're right. The environment here.
There wasn't energy there.
There wasn't. And like I was meeting clients here too. So like when you called me about it, I was just like, that's a no. It's just no brainer.
I think it was a God thing. I really do.
I do.
They had both of these rooms empty. This room and the one across the hall, and their tenants had left a few months back. And we talked to Ian, who owns the Grind, and he was like, "Hey, they're available. We worked out a deal, and it took us a couple months to get everything set up. We had to put in flooring and paint and rig lighting. I had to buy a bunch of new gear to be able to.
But I think we actually bring a decent amount of people in here, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I mean, we do get.
Like
we do
people
help
coming in
generate
for
revenue.
meetings, they grab coffee. So Ian, if you want to sponsor the show,
Yep. At least coffee's on the table.
no, Ian's been great.
Yeah, he has been.
The atmosphere's been great. So like, what has? I don't want to cut you off, but I just want to hear more about your vision for the space.
Yeah. So the whole idea
Because that
of the space-
your business has been evolving.
It's been
You're
evolving.
focusing on video. You developed this beautiful studio.
Yep. So the idea is that this space is available for businesses to rent out, right?
Okay.
And we can do it a couple of ways. If they're like, hey, I just want to talk about my business, I want to make a one-off, I can sit here and interview them. You could interview them, right? We have other people that have expressed interest, other business owners that have had experience doing, on camera, on air stuff. And they're like, hey, if you're ever interested and you need another host, I can do that and interview business owners. Okay, cool. So they could do that. We have 3 cameras in here, as you've seen from this edit.
Yeah, there's one there,
Right.
one here.
And
Back
when
there.
I'm not on the set here, I'm behind the computer actually cutting. So, and
Which you still need. You need a camera back there.
I do need a camera back there. I know that's true. But what all that does is, all this gear is set up in a space. The lighting's already done. People basically have to just walk in, sit down. I tweak the camera angles just a little bit. I sit at the computer, and then I'm editing while you're recording. It's like a TV show. We're cutting it live. So what all that does is it cuts down on our production time. It cuts down on our editing time, and it makes video, I think, a lot more affordable for people.
And approachable.
Like I can't even tell you the difference in going out on site and saying, hey, I'm going to interview you. Can you stand here? Here's the camera. Here's the light. I'm going to talk to you and do this interview. And people get so nervous about it.
I do.
And they still get nervous here when they start. But once they sit down and they start talking like we're talking, they forget the cameras are there.
Yeah.
Or they might look at them, but
they're not as in your face
No, not
as
in
it
your
would
face.
be. Where like I know if I have to read a script and I'm like trying to remember, okay,
Yeah.
I gotta say this. Then I'm like, I just get stuck.
Right. You've got someone to play off of here.
Yeah.
I think it's the way it's set up like a living room, the way there's this rug, there's plants. Everyone just
Yeah, but
relaxes.
these are all fake plants.
I know. Yeah.
And you didn't mention you can do you can change out logos, branding. You can put presentations.
Yep, presentations up there. We've done
Slides.
movies, slides, all sorts of stuff. So I mean, we can.
And even the lighting can be adjusted.
The
right?
lighting with the colors of the lights can be adjusted. The shelving contents can change. So there is some customization. I mean, it's not going to be filming on site, but I mean, it's probably
But for the price,
for the price. We're talking
yeah.
like close to a tenth the cost of some of the things that we do out in the
if
field.
someone's interested in getting started or testing video, then it's a good way to
right.
put your,
Right. And people can rent it by the hour. We do have a monthly plan where people can come in and, and do stuff. So that was the idea. I mean, I know you and I both kind of started it as we want to be here because there's visibility and it's sort of a marketing thing for us. That's part of this podcast, like we talked about. Like we want to just get our name out there and tell our stories and other people's stories, and hopefully encourage other entrepreneurs, educate people on how they can help their businesses grow. And I kind of see we're still doing stuff out in the field, right? We're still looking for those clients that want to do those productions more customized, that have the budgets for those and everything. And but this is available too, and we've had a steady stream of people
coming in.
Yeah,
it's been busy.
It's been really fun. It's nice having a place to come work.
So I mean, I agree. Like having a place. I used to hate. Like again, I used to work from home all the time. So I mean, I've worked from home for a long time.
Yeah, that's right.
And then during COVID, we were like homeschooling. And I'm like, I need to find. I try going to like Starbucks, and I'd get so bored.
Yeah.
And like even the other office location, no offense, but like it was kind of depressing. So I'd leave. Like I didn't want to be there. And here it's just like, all right, I have my office. It's, people are here. The energy's much better.
Yeah.
So how has your business like even evolved since just moving here and opening up the studio? Because it seems like you have people coming in and out like all the time.
Like I said, I mean, it's steady. It's been nice because, bigger video projects right now are not like, we're not doing like a brand new commercial every week, right? We're just not at that point yet. And so it's been nice having that sort of a little bit more steadiness with this, that we're getting more foot traffic doing work, even though it's smaller work, which is great. I think just having the space and the visibility, we did a grand opening with the chamber. We've got people constantly peeking in.
I know earlier there was people like popping over and looking in.
Oh, are they really? Like you?
Yeah, I almost feel like we need to put a shade there.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's fun.
I don't. Yeah, no. I mean, I get the same thing in my office. They're just like peeking in and curious. And honestly, I mean, I've probably had 2 or 3 new clients that just happened to walk in here. So like,
I mean, I definitely have work that's come in that I would not have had
if you weren't here.
If I wasn't here, I think it's just done something to improve our legitimacy. And
if you have a place like, I could come here and meet in the office.
Right.
That also goes back to like video, right? Like having a presence that people see. Like you talked about telling stories. I feel like a lot of businesses are maybe missing that. Now more than ever with AI, people want to do business like they want authenticity.
Right.
So like video is the best way right now to do that. So
I think
like,
especially this style,
and then
like
it's not scripted. We're not like
and
I'll mess up and embarrass myself, but people want to deal with a real person,
right?
So they can come here and use your space and have a real conversation and tell their story, talk about what they offer, and that's kind of the ultimate goal with this podcast. Is to give people that platform.
It's to give people a platform to tell a story. And I think, like you said, I kind of see it as being a little bit AI proof because I don't want to.
They can't replicate our personalities. So.
That's right. That's true. And the mess ups. I know they will be able to, but like you can, like if you wanted to create a commercial for a generic business, you could do that with AI. You could go and you could build an ad. You could do it. You could have it generate stuff for social media ads or even broadcast. We've all seen broadcast commercials. You're like, that's AI created, but saved a lot of production costs. Why would you do that for something like this, where you're trying to tell a story, authenticity, a local business, hearing from the owner? Like you can't. That has to be real, and that has to be here.
You can't do that with AI.
No, and people want that. People want to hear the story. They want to know who they're working with. Story is what connects us. And jumping back to the name. It's not just the Holmes connection on the surface. It's the Sherlock Holmes connection. It's, if you've read his stories or seen the movies, he was dogged about trying to find the truth, right? Like what really happened? What are the details that everybody missed? And I think in a way that we kind of do that too. We want to tell those stories. We want to tell the true stories, and we want to find out what's that nugget that everyone else might have missed. It's sort of that diamond that helps show what makes your business different and what makes you different and why people should want to work with you and why your product is better and all of those things. And so it's sort of the two side of the name, but we like to say every company has a story to tell, and we want to help people tell it, because I think that's what connects us and that's what builds community. From an entrepreneur standpoint, we want to encourage other people to taking the same leaps that we did. And
I think we're both believers of like doing, I'm a big believer, and I think you are too, of like, if we're recommending our clients do something, I would say this is a red flag. If a company is recommending you do certain things or like advertise or whatever it is, and they don't do it themselves, like if I'm telling my clients to do SEO, like I'm doing SEO for my own clients. If I say, you should do video, we need to do video. I'm a big believer of like, I'm doing what I'm recommending.
Right.
So then otherwise, like I can't sell a product or service that I don't believe in.
Right.
So like,
it's true.
We're here doing that, and this studio that you created is giving them or business owners a platform to come in and tell that story.
Yeah. No,
Any advice that you would have for the same situation, right? We were both faced with kind of being let go and starting a new business. Right. Any advice from your perspective?
The just start thing.
Yeah. Which went back to the previous.
That's a big one. And that's what I'm learning right now. I mean, I talked about my wife calling earlier and, our kind of personality differences. And I think.
Yeah. Her and I are a lot more like.
Right. I tend to, this is something that I think one of my good friends who, again, was an entrepreneur, already had his first exit, peer of mine. He told me at the very beginning when I was going down this path, he said, be careful, not just to be another employee or freelancer where you're trying to start a business doing video. You realize, you just end up being stuck doing video the whole time.
It's like that Rich Dad, Poor Dad book. You become self-employed.
Right.
You created yourself a job.
And to an extent, like, right, I got into video because I like doing it.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to just be the guy I'm going to hire all the video professionals and not do any of the creative on my own. But what I'm finding is I'm getting more and more into doing these projects and realizing that, it's that hustle, right? You constantly have to have these projects. There's not just a salary sitting there and like, well, we're kind of dry for this month. I said, no, you have to be. Video is a very involved process. There's a lot of editing time, and I find myself often getting stuck in the weeds. Some of it's that artist of I want to make it look cool and I don't trust anybody else. And part of it's, I think that fear of growth or expanding, or the risk, I guess, of hiring, or
it's kind of a trust thing, right? Yeah.
Like, I need to hand some things off, and just in being able to do that, I'm still going through that process of.
What's that saying? If you want to go far, go alone. If you want to go fast, go alone.
Go alone. If you want to go far.
Far,
right?
Go together.
And I'm there. I mean, editing is one of those big things. I've mentioned it a couple of times. Like, that's probably the single largest time-consuming task that I.
And that's a good point, right, for business in general, because I've experienced similar things where like it was always an ebb of flow of like, I need, like for me it was selling products, so like I needed another t-shirt design so that I could scale it, and that would do great, and then it would die off, and I'm like, oh crap, I need it. It would be like, all right, no sales coming in because I didn't have another design, sell, and then it would drop. And like when you're bringing on all this new business, it's like new business, then you're hammered with editing. Then you get through the editing, then you're not focused on bringing in new business. And then it's a cycle of the ebb and flow. So it's kind of like, I'm learning that myself. It's like, all right, a big influx of business is great, but where are the bottlenecks, and how do you start handing them off and building that team so that you can scale and bring on more work without that constant up and down?
Well, and I've always I think part of that fear of even hiring someone part-time, someone affordable to take some of those editing tasks or that kind of stuff. I think that there's a fear of like, well, I have to commit to a certain number of hours. What if I have a couple of months where I don't have anything?
Yeah.
Or it's just not worth sending them because I can do it faster because it's a simple job, right? Or something like that. And I've always that's been the fear. But maybe the reason why that ebb and flow is there is because I'm not handing it off,
could be.
because I'm not selling and growing in those times where I'm stuck in
editing. Yeah.
Versus,
And honestly, it's like,
it's,
go ahead. Sorry.
no, it's all kind of making sense now.
No, it's kind of like, all right. But also, go back to like burning the bridges. Like, if you hire someone, it's like, you know what, now I need to make sure I have work for this person. So there is something to that too. Like,
Well, there's something that I think in anything, like you have to feel that pressure to take that next step. I remember even when I was working in, I'll say corporate, it was nonprofit, but like I never would have asked for that first raise had we not had our first kid. And I knew that pressure of,
I need to provide for my family.
Right. My wife's going to stay home with this child now. I'm here. I was comfortable. And now I'm like, I need more. And I realized, no, my job description has grown. Why am I not asking for a raise? I never would have done that though, had I not had that outside stimulus of, you need this now.
Yeah.
And so I think the same kind of thing here. It's like,
it's a continuous
you had that pressure. Now you have
your,
to step out of faith.
And step out of your comfort zone, then you grow, and that becomes your new comfort.
Right.
And you step out again.
True.
So
it's true.
I mean, we're all learning. I mean, I'm learning. I'm the same way. I'm trying not to be like a one-man show. But yeah, if you want to grow, we have to put those people in place. And I do think this will be a great platform for, I mean, not only us, but anyone who wants to come on here and tell their story.
Yep.
There's definitely an audience out there.
I agree.
For their message.
I think so.
What about any last parting words? Anything?
I think I've told it all. I mean, I know there's a lot more we could go into maybe depth with some of the challenges and how we as a family work through stuff. But
that could be a whole
might be another episode.
Yeah, that could just be families and entrepreneurs.
We didn't really dive into that very much, even with your story.
No, I think this was just like, how do we get to where we are right now? It was cool to see like your transitions similar, even time frames were similar to mine. But yeah, then where we are now to where we're going to get to, the family dynamics is definitely an interesting and complicated one. It's not always easy.
For sure.
So I think that'll be another good episode.
Well, I guess that puts number 3.
Part 2.
So
I guess it's technically
episode 3, part 2 of our story.
Sure.
We'll gotta find our next victim.
We'll get better. I'll get better.
Yeah. No, you did great, man. You're a good interviewer.
Thank you. I get nervous, but that's part of the authenticity, right?
That's right.
So I won't watch it. I'll just let you put it out there.
I've got to edit it because I don't have an editor yet.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all.
Thank you guys.
Tune in next time.